SBET going to be the next 10x, the next major play like MicroStrategies, which went from literally $20 to over $450? Is this going to be it? Is this going to be the Ethereum reserve like the Bitcoin reserve that Michael Saylor has done? I'm going to explain this. I'm going to break this down properly. I'm seeing a lot of bad information on Twitter. And all these people on Twitter, guys, if you're getting your financial information from Twitter, good luck to you, because they're calling it a Ponzi, they're calling it a scam. I'm going to explain to you exactly how this works. I'm an actual crypto person. I have another channel called Crypto Circus. And yes, because crypto is a circus, so you guys understand how it works. I'm going to explain to you how SBET, with all this Ethereum, how it works, how it's backed, what you should expect, and how to value it, because it seems like the market doesn't really know how to value it, because it's basically all over the place from, like $2-3. It went all the way, when they announced, all the way to $123. I mean, they couldn't even value it correctly. And now it went down to $10, and then it went all the way up to $40, all over the place. And I am in this for an average about $25 or so. And I'm going to tell you why I'm in it, but I'm also very bullish on Ethereum, and I hold a lot of Ethereum. So I'm going to kind of give you guys the breakdown of where this is potentially going to go. And also we're going to compare it to BitMine, which is another one, and also BTCS, which is another reserve company. So which is the best reserve company that we can invest in and make the most money? Because this is what it's about. So first, let's understand who's backing these companies, because that's actually very critical. And then you can see BitMine, went all the way up to $158 from like nothing, with $15. I mean, that was a great rip. And it's run by this guy, Tom Lee, who's on Fundstrat. And, he's a big Ethereum bull guy. He's a big Bitcoin bull guy. But you're like, wow, Tom Lee, he's a no name. He's on CNBC all the time. That's the one I want to invest in. And you might be right. You actually might be right. But SBET is run by this guy. If you go to About Us, you get to see who it's run by. Joseph Lubin. Who is Joseph Lubin? Yes, Joseph Lubin is actually a big freaking deal, guys. All right. He is a co-founder of Ethereum, which means he's trying to pump his own bags. Okay. This is code. I am pumping my own bags. And a founder of ConsenSys. What is ConsenSys? ConsenSys owns MetaMask, which basically drives the internet. Okay. Is a real deal right here. In fact, I would say Joseph Lubin is probably a little bit more connected and probably better suited for this and better understands what's going to happen. And he probably has hundreds of thousands of Ethereum laying in a wallet somewhere where he's like, I can't wait to dump it on you. And by the way, pumping their own bags is what Wall Street does all the time. Apple buying back their stock, or any of these companies, they pump their own bags. It's the same. Remember when Restoration Hardware went from like $20 to $700? Guess what they did? They pumped their own bags. Pumping their bags is the easiest way to make money. You just got to go find the people who pump their bags. Okay? He's going to pump your bags. He's going to pump ETH, and he's going to pump SBET. So that's why I'm bullish on SBET. Now, let's talk about the valuations and how to value these things. So I went over to ChatGPT to give you guys a nice clean example of how this is going to run. So for example, I'm going to break this down. There's 3 of them that I brought up. SBET, BitMine, and I also brought up BTCS. Okay, these are the 3 that we're going to do a comparison. And it couldn't find the amount of stocks that they had publicly, but we ran some games. We figured it out. But this is the amount of ETH they hold. Obviously, SBET owns the most, 360,000. I believe that's what they have on their website, right? Let's see. Hold on a second. Is that what they have on their website? 360,000, correct. So this is the most up-to-date number. So if you look at it, 360,000, 300,000 for BitMine, and about 55,000 for BTCS. BTCS is a lot more risky because it's smaller. It's not going to have the same instruments available to it, financial instruments, as SBET or BitMine. That's just facts, okay? But percentage-wise, it's actually doing very, very well. In fact, in some cases, even better, because people are just finding about BTCB. Now, when we start doing a comparison of the number of shares, and by the way, the shares are going to be going up all the time because they're selling the shares to buy the Ethereum token. That's how they're getting a lot of their funding. And then I'm assuming they're going to be doing some convertible notes and some other stuff like MicroStrategies is doing. So I'm going to explain what MicroStrategies did in a second, so you guys can understand what's happening here. So where is going to be the fair valuation for this? So keep this in mind. This is the backing per share. So you can see basically SBET, and also SBET has another $100 million it needs to spend, and BitMine are about 50% of their value is literally in Ethereum. And with SBET, it's probably about closer to $15. So actually, SBET is actually technically a little bit cheaper because it's got probably about $15 worth of backing, and it's worth about $25 right now. So it's got about 60% is backed of its price currently at $25, which is actually very impressive. While if we look at BitMine, if it's at 20, let's call it $22, because I think they picked up some more, divided by 39, they're about 56%. So SBET would be slightly better deal, right? And you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. I could just go buy Ethereum myself. Yes, but Ethereum, if you buy it yourself, you stake it, you make 3% a year, which these guys are also staking it. Now, the difference is they get a yield. Where does this yield come from? So they're ever increasing and backing the stock. So over time, what you're going to see is this $13 backing is going to become $15, $18, $20, $30, $40, $50, to the point where Michael Saylor, if you run, we're going to get to him in a second, MicroStrategy, what they've done is it was basically $20 stock. If you look at MicroStrategy stock, it was about $20 about a year and a half or 2 years ago. Now it's at $430. Why? How much is the backing per stock? It's about $250 of Bitcoin per stock. So it's never going to go back to $20 unless obviously Bitcoin collapses by 90%. That's how good MicroStrategy shareholders are. That's how good off they are. That it's never going to go back to those levels again because he's basically figured out this yield. So what is this yield? So you guys can understand. And all these people calling these things a Ponzi and a scam on X, you are dumb. You're just extra dumb. You just don't understand how these things work. I'm going to explain it to you and hopefully you'll understand it, but likely you won't because you're dumb. So if you have to use the word Ponzi on anything, you've lost. You've lost, especially something that's not a Ponzi. These are financial instruments. This is the actual market. A lot of people think that Bitcoin is a Ponzi. It's not. It's not a Ponzi. People do not understand how these things work. And it's okay not to understand them, but using the word Ponzi means you've just lost the argument. But let's get to it. So this is what MicroStrategy is done. $72 billion. Okay, and they purchased the $72 billion worth of Bitcoin with about $40 billion. So they have almost a $30 billion profit, which is insane. So the backing per stock is about $250 Bitcoin per stock, which is insanity. Okay, so you can see they're getting a yield on it. Where is the yield number? BTC yield. That means they added 74% more Bitcoin in 2004 than they did the year before. So they added per stock, they had 74% more backing. And so far this year, they've managed to add 20% more backing. So basically they're selling their stock, which is at that point was 2 to 3x. So for example, if they had $100 million stock, they only had $50 million or even a $30 million worth of backing. So they were selling their stock. It made sense to sell their stock or convertible notes at a higher price so they could take that money and buy more Bitcoin because that adds to the yield. You follow me? You're selling something. People are valuing your stock at double or triple what the actual value of the backing is. You keep selling it, which is what MicroStrategy was doing at the beginning. It kept selling it, the stock to people so that they could take the money and buy Bitcoin. The Bitcoin price would go up and backing of guess what? Each stock would increase with every sale because they were able to raise $100 million and they would take that $100 million and they would buy more Bitcoin. But the $100 million was, for example, when they were selling it, was double the value of the Bitcoin. Their stock was worth double the value of the Bitcoin that they held. So this is how this yield comes from, and it's absolutely genius. And it's probably something that Michael Saylor, and he said he's accidentally found. And now he's offering all these other instruments, financial instruments, Strife and Strike and all this other stuff. And he's added all of this Bitcoin Defense Department. That's kind of funny. He's added all of these different financial tools to raise even more money at some cheap prices, some not. And basically what he's able to do, which is what he's been doing, is he's been able to buy more Bitcoin, increasing the yield. And also by taking more Bitcoin out of circulation, he's basically pumping his bags. You guys have to understand, this is kind of what Wall Street does. They pump their own bags with buybacks. This is what Michael Saylor has done. He's taken what Wall Street does the best, which is pumps its bags, and he's applied it to crypto. He's applied it to Bitcoin. So with all that said, this is exactly the strategy of these two companies, which is SBET and BitMine. And there is no difference at all. And I think it's going to work. What I think is going to happen is the amount of Ethereum they're going to hold. And Ethereum is actually even a better product, you could call it, financial product to own than Bitcoin, because it pays a yield of about 3% a year. So they can stake it, as you can see right here, generated 556 ETH in staking rewards since June 2nd, which is absolutely an insane amount of money. They could start making tens of millions of dollars a year just by staking it. It's only 3%. However, there are ways to get creative and to leverage that and to do even more. And they are talking about it. Now, if you're able to sell subordinate notes, if you're able to sell notes, for example, at 0% or 1%, which is what Michael Saylor was doing at one point for MicroStrategies, and you're able to stake it and get 3%, well, you're coming ahead. And it's also 3% compounded. So you're adding the 3%, compounding it. There's a lot of stuff you can do with Ethereum that you really can't do with Bitcoin. So it's actually very interesting where these guys can go. And I'm betting that SBET, Joseph Lubin, is probably going to get very creative at some point, especially when they hit 1 or 2 or 3 million Ethereum, which I think they can get to. This number is insane. 360,000 Ethereum is, I think they're the largest holder at this point. Ethereum is a lot more decentralized than Bitcoin. There's a lot. There's not like huge holders that own 1 million Ethereum. There isn't. There used to be. They're no longer. This distribution on it is absolutely beautiful. So Ethereum can actually run because there's not somebody who can go dump a country or someone that can go dump millions of Ethereum. There just hasn't been. Now there might be in the future with these companies buying it up. But let's also talk about the Ethereum price. Where do I think Ethereum is going to go? As a real true crypto person, I'm going to give you some knowledge here. So I want you guys to understand something. In every bull run, in every single bull run, Ethereum, actually, let's go even further back. Ethereum has gone up to about 75 to 85% of the value, about 85% of the value actually in the last bull run. But let's be conservative. Let's call it, that's fine. Let's call it 85%, which is what this was. When it hit 4,800, 4,900, it was about 85% of Bitcoin's value. Bitcoin was about $69,000 at that point. Where do I think it's going to go again? This is all repeating. Everything we're seeing is repeating. The bull cycle is repeating. The halving, all the stuff, everything we talk about is repeating. And you can see right here, World Liberty Financial has boosted its Ethereum holdings by 3,400 ETH for $13 million, totaling $73,000 worth of ETH, $275 million amid rising institutional demand. So you're seeing the stories every day. More ETH is being consumed. And you have the president of the United States consuming it. They're telling you they're going to pump your bags. Listen to them. Stop being a wimp and listen to them. Stop saying it's Ponzi. Stop saying it's this. Listen to what they're telling you. They're telling you what to do. Eric Trump is on X telling you what to do. Buy ETH because they're changing the regulations. They're changing the rules and they're going to pump your bags. They're going to pump their own bags because look at how much bags they're buying. And you think these guys are in this for like a 2x? No, they're not in this for a 2x. I've seen some people say, oh, it's just going to go up to like 7,000, 8,000. They're not doing this for a 2x, guys. They are in this for the long haul. They're doing this for 3x, 4x, 5x, okay? So I'm going to show you how we're going to get there, okay? So you guys can start to understand what the potential of ETH is. So first of all, if ETH reached 85% of the value of Bitcoin the last cycle, okay? I'm just going to use $118,000, which is where Bitcoin is. If we get to 85% of the market cap. So look at the market cap, about 2.3 billion versus 2.3 trillion versus 434 billion. Okay. Ethereum is grossly undervalued. Okay. And this is what happened in the last bull run. Also, it was grossly undervalued. And then it just started to go whoop way up. It's going to happen again. It's being set up like this. It's already being set up. Read the tea leaves, okay? So this is what's going to happen, guys. 434 billion times 3 brings us to 1.3 trillion. 1.3 trillion divided by 1.3 trillion divided by 2.4 trillion brings us to 54% of the value. That means if Ethereum triples from here, which would put us at a valuation of about 10,800, let's call it 11,000, it would still be lower than where it went to in the last bull cycle, which is 85%. This would only represent 56%, and that's at the current $118,000 price. Meaning, and I think, and a lot of people think Bitcoin is going to go to 150 to 200, even over 200, but let's be conservative. Let's put Bitcoin's valuation at only, let's say it only goes to 3 trillion, which is not very high. That would mean, conservatively, and I'm being below 85%, Ethereum would get to about 2 trillion, okay? At 2 trillion, you're looking at a 4.5 times, and this is being conservative from here, 4.5 times run, which puts us about 16,200. So my estimate for Ethereum is somewhere between 10,000 and 15,000, possibly $16,000 for the top. And that's based on conservative numbers, and it could go higher. It could go as high as 20,000. And that is what Tom Lee and other people are saying. And you know what? That's what it's done in the past. And the past does not necessarily mean it's going to happen again, but it just keeps happening every cycle. So if it keeps happening every cycle, and this cycle has pretty much been in lockstep with the last cycle, well, what do you think is going to happen? That's coming from a crypto guy. From a crypto perspective, someone who's bought ETH during the whole bear market, I am average price in Bitcoin in the 20s of thousands of dollars. I think my average Bitcoin purchase is probably like $23,000, $24,000. Okay, think about that. And I haven't sold. I've literally held this whole entire time, and I have a good amount of it. So because I understand these cycles, I study these cycles. And it's the same thing with SBET. It's the same thing with BitMine. Study the cycles, study them. That's all I do. I don't have a day job. This is my day job, okay? So I'm giving you this information, this knowledge of what the OGs out there are seeing, what we are seeing, and what our price predictions are going to be. Personally, I think that over $10,000, I will start selling Ethereum just because I do own quite a bit of Ethereum, and I would probably start taking some profits. And my average price of Ethereum is, I don't know. I've never even ran my average price, but it's probably below $1,500 or around there, maybe less, to be honest with you. So I'm in it good. For me, it's all profit. So that's where I'm looking at. Now, if you're trying to make some money, SBET is the way to go. I think SBET's team is slightly better. I like BitMine's team too, but I think SBET has a little bit better team. I think the valuation wise makes a little bit more sense. It's a little cheaper based on a valuation wise. BTCS, you guys are gonna have to do your own research. It's smaller. I'm going for the big dog. I'm going for the guys, these two that are going to be everywhere, all over CNBC, everywhere. Everyone's going to be talking about it. And what I like about these two is also the daily volume on them is absolutely huge. Look at this. Average volume, 17 million shares traded on BitMine and 36 million on SBET. That's what you want to see, because this is going to bring institutional money because they see the volume, and it's also going to help them raise more money quickly. And this is what you want to see, because the banks and the venture capitalists, all these people are looking at these numbers. Am I worried about it going down $2? No, because I know there's about $15 backing per stock. So I don't really care. If it goes lower, below $20, I'm going to just pick up as much as I can. And then eventually I know they're going to be buying, and I know the yield will catch up and it'll explode. That's the game plan for me. Can this go to $100, $200, $300? I think so. How long of a period? Well, that's the question. And it could be as soon as 3 months. It could be as soon as 6 months. It could be a year. We don't know. It's hard to see. Interest rates are going to come down, which is definitely going to push Ethereum way higher. Interest rates are going to dump. The second interest rates dump, Ethereum isn't like Bitcoin. Ethereum needs interest rates to go down. Once they start going down, this thing will catch on fire. And whatever SBET has purchased, whether it's 500 or 600 or 700,000, it's just going to double and it's just going to catch on fire and the whole ecosystem is going to explode. Alt season has not started till Ethereum reaches old highs, which is at $4,800. So Ethereum needs to get back to here and we're not there yet. So once alt season starts, it's going to be insane. So once this gets back up to this level here, up 4,800, you better believe this thing is going to go to $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. And then you're going to see the real money come flowing into SBET. You're going to see this thing fly from 25, 35, 45, and you're going to see the yields coming in. You're going to see this thing go to $100. It's just going to be explosive. So if you believe Ethereum is going to explode, then yes, SBET and BitMine are going to also explode. I think this is the easiest play I've ever seen in the stock market. I do have another play for you guys tomorrow, which I'm actually doing really well with. I'm up about 60% on already, but I think it's going to go way higher. And I'm trying to find stocks and companies that are hidden, that people have lost faith in, that are coming back. Those are the places you make their money in, kind of like Restoration Hardware, where it pumped its own bags. So, and I was in that back in the day. So that's what I'm going to bring you guys. Make sure you subscribe. I got some great information coming for you. I'm going to be all over different sectors. I'm here to make big time trades. That's the name of the channel. Just big time trades. It's going to be high risk, high volatility. You better be used to going up and down 20, 30, 40%. It's just what it is. Keep some capital on the side to come back into it. Is SBET, could it go down to $15? Sure, it could, but that's its low. It's not going to go to zero because it's got backing, unless, of course, Ethereum nukes, which I don't think it will for the reasons I've laid out. So this is my theory of how I'm playing the game. I'm going to where they're telling me to go buy. The government and the country and the president and all the people are saying go buy Ethereum. Listen to them. They're telling you they're going to pump your bags. Listen to them. That's all it is. If you want to call it a Ponzi and sit this one out, go for it. I ain't going to cry for you. I ain't going to care. I'm going to do my thing. Okay? And don't get financial advice from people that are absolute morons, which is quite a bit of them. So anyway, guys, best of luck. Take care.